The 13 different roles in Warzone explained, starting with in-game leader or IGL. In any match besides solos, you're going to have to define an in-game leader. All the best teams in Warzone or COD in general always have an IGL. And the reason you have an IGL, because this is the player archetype who is always looking to advance the team. They are checking the mini-map, they are checking rotations, they are letting you know where the gas is, they are calling the shots when you land. You need to have this predetermined role, because if you don't have a role of leader in the game, everybody's going to fight over who makes the decision, and then nobody's going to make a decision and the game is going to be over. So assign this role. The IGL, in my opinion, is going to be the most important role, because they are going to give that leadership and guidance. So you know where to rotate, you know when to rotate, and you can lean on them for map understanding and where levels of elevation are. Everything you're going to lean on your in-game leader. The number 2 role is your sniper role. Now this is somebody who is going to hang back in third party and be very efficient at it. What they're going to do is you're going to have, say you're in trios, you're going to have 2 players go in and attack, and I'll give you those roles here in a second. But why those 2 players are attacking and distracting the team inside of a building, the other sniper support person hanging back and sniping as they pick off and run out of buildings, jump out of windows. They're helping getting downs while you guys are stomping everybody inside. They're not expecting it most of the time when people are rushing in the game. So you need a sniper support role in your team. So you have an IGL, you have a sniper support, and then role number 3 is you're going to need a RNG, or a run and gunner, a fragger. You're going to need somebody on your team, and you probably know who this is, who's 1, great with movement, and 2, can handle like 1v2, 1v1 inside of buildings, and can get their attention and take downs and get people out of the game very good. They're very good with an SMG. They also understand what the meta SMG is, but they are a close quarter combat expert, and they are the fragger of the group. Every group has one. You're going to have to put in a fragger. But when you put in the fragger, coming in at number 4 is what I call the slayer, and the slayer is right with the fragger. So that person is trading down, so if the fragger downs somebody, they can back up and plate, and then the slayer comes in and complements that player and finishes those down so they can trade out. Because, and say you're in trios, like I said, if you have the fragger and the slayer in the building and the sniper support out back, as you're clearing a building, the sniper support can take care of it, and then the slayer player can go ahead and clean up downs and trade out with the team. Now the slayer player can do run and gun if need be, but it's not their comfortable role. They're more of a sidekick to the fragger, who is, like I said, the expert at close quarter combat. Then you're gonna need your economist. Now, what do we call an economist in the game? And there's a lot of roles in this game when you're making up trios or quads, but you want an economist or a banker who is big on, let's do contracts, let's get enough money for loadout, how much money do we have, how much money can we spend here, when is the fire sale, what time does it go off? You need an economist or a banker in the group that is going ahead and getting all the money, and maybe you're doing spy drone contracts or search contracts, whatever you're doing to get money. But that economist, they're probably the friend in the group who's really into Monopoly and who always wants to be the banker in that game. You want them to be the banker in this game, because economy is king, cash is king. The more economy and the more money you have, the better chance you have at winning inside Warzone. So the economist role is a big role. Which leads me to number 6, which is your flanker or angle specialist. And what this is, and obviously you're gonna blend together roles and you'll have multiple different players doing multiple different things, but you need to have this conversation of who's doing what throughout the game. So an angle specialist or a flanker is if you're looking down at the building and you're both shooting at a building, the person who's the angle specialist or understands flanking the best will always come in from the left or the right, because the people that are shooting you straight on aren't thinking left and right, and you have an angle specialist who's kind of mixed with the run and gunner fragger type, who can go in, create the flank, and then finish off people who you guys are fighting straight ahead, because their attention is focused straight on you and not on your angle specialist. So a flanker type with a mix of run and gunner. Number 6 is the flanker role. Number 7 is the anchor type player, and we're going to talk about that player because that's going to play a pivotal role in Resurgence, but not in Battle Royale Big Map. But you're going to need an anchor player. When you have an anchor player, what that means is it's kind of like sniper support, but they're good with an AR and an SMG. They understand how to manage recoil. They know the meta, and they can definitely beam people out of the air, or if they're crossing in front of a building. But say you're playing Resurgence on Rebirth, you also need an anchor player. If the fragger or the slayer or the IGL dies, then that person is the anchor who is anchoring down in a building, ready for that timer to come back and get their teammates back. So it's strategically planned on, hey, you're going to be the anchor, or you just kind of assume that role because everybody else keeps dying because they're the fragger or the slayer, but you're the anchor player, and you're going to sit there and you're going to wait for the timer to come back, so then you get your teammates back. So you need to have an anchor player type that is good with AR, good with SMG, just kind of an all-around jack of trades player. Which leads me to number 8, and the reason why I bring this one up is because I'm personally terrible at it, which is I call it a vehicle specialist. We have ATVs, we have ducks or boats that also pour as cars. We call them ducks in the Northwest. You're flying helicopters. I'm not good at flying or driving anything, especially in this game or in real life, really. So having a vehicle specialist of, like, you almost play a game of not it when you're like coming up to a vehicle, if you're going to use a vehicle to get around big map, of like, I'm not flying. Usually it's not a mouse and keyboard player either, because mouse and keyboard players are not very good at driving or flying. Sorry, my mouse and keyboard fans, it's just the truth. Controller's a little bit easier, but I'm not very good. I'm on controller, so we always designate a vehicle specialist who is the best at driving, doesn't get us killed, understands how to do evasive maneuvers and get out of the way and get us to the next point, or blow through choke points. You need to have a vehicle specialist on your team. Number 9 is your tactical player, and what I mean is not doing the riot shield if that comes back, but it's somebody who is, you know, carrying stuns, carrying smokes, understands how to rotate, carrying bouncing betties or spring mines, whatever they're calling them these days. I'm a bouncing betty guy. And also understands how to set traps, uses gas grenades to block doorways if people are trying to finish you and run through. Just a tactical thinker, and carrying that and making sure you have the right perks. So this person would have restock on, right? Because if they're carrying gas grenades and they're carrying spring mines, you want to make sure you're constantly restocking those every 50 seconds, especially with, you can do 3 spring mines now instead of the 2 before. But you're constantly having a tactician or a tactical player on your squad that you understand that they're going to do that for you, so you don't have to. So maybe you have your fragger and your slayer and your IGL, and they are storming the building, but then there's, you know, once you take over the building, now your tactical player is going to secure the building, and they're going to lay down those spring mines, or they're going to lay down the claymores. I know it sounds kind of campy, but it's really not. It's having that thought process of having a tactician who's going to secure doorways, dips, ladders, stuff like that, so you guys don't get taken out. And then coming in at number 10 is a demolition expert. So that is somebody who is good with Molotov cocktails, impact grenades, Simtex, spring mines, all the explosive equipment. They even might be running like a crossbow right now, where that is like overpowered and it kills in one shot. They understand how to use rocket launchers. They're really a demolitions expert. They're running C4 maybe. They're just running everything that can explode on the team, but they're good with it and they're efficient with it and they understand how to use it. This is the same person that can be tied in with the anchor player as well, because they can use those types, but there's somebody who is just proficient at that. Maybe they run strong arm so they can throw those things longer. Setting up the perk package inside of the game for their strong suit with demolition. So number 10 is your demolitions man, which leads me into number 11, which is your hybrid player. A hybrid player on a team means you can fluctuate in and out of everything. You can go be IGL, you can go be a fragger, you can go be a slayer, you can go be an economist. You're kind of a jack of all trades and blend with any one of those, and you can fit into any role in any team. You're great with a sniper, you're great with an AR, and you're great with an SMG. Like I said, overall roundabout player that is a hybrid player that can fit into roles. So, you know, if you're beginning the match and you're talking to your team and you're like, hey, you know, obviously somebody's going to step up and be the IGL. Maybe the IGL is like, oh, okay, well, hey, Puffin, you're going to be the hybrid player. This is what you're going to do. This is what your strengths are. They go very deep on letting you know what you're going to be, and that hybrid player can be, okay, cool, this game I'm going to be a slayer, next game I'm going to be a fragger, next game I'm going to be a sniper support. They definitely can give you different things, and the hybrid player coming in at number 10 is somebody you need on every team. These last 3 are very crucial. So number 11 is your medic. And what I mean by a medic is this guy is first guy in, last guy out. So if you're getting downs, he's kind of the guy that's on your team, and you know who this is, that is always reviving everybody. Reviving the fragger, he's reviving the slayer, he's reviving the in-game leader. but somebody who is not selfish and cares more about the team than caring about himself. He's always volunteering to self-revive everybody. Also, he's opening up every medical kit that's in the bathroom, so he's telling you, hey, there's another self-revive here, there's a stim here. That's that type of player for a medic. Not everybody can be a medic. You have to have the right temperament, the right mental for it. Fraggers and slayers usually aren't because they care more about themselves, more fraggers and slayers, but a medic role is definitely in need. Number 12, we call the watch the stairs role. Now, this is the player on your team who probably isn't that good, who's trying to get better, but you kind of understand that in most gunfights, he's gonna be useless. So you're always telling him to watch the stairs. You're trying to be nice and not hurt his feelings. You don't want to upset him, but he's your watch the stairs role. He's like, hey, you watch the stairs, I'm gonna take up here. And you find yourself saying that a lot. You know who this is on your crew. Don't act like you don't. And if you don't, then you might be the actual watch the stairs player. But that role is essential because you do need somebody watching the stairs, and everybody wants to have a good time in the game, so you do have to have your watch the stairs player. And to round out the roles, which is one of the most important roles before we get into how to structure your team, is the clutch player. And what that means is when it comes down to 1v1 in circle, zone is closing, he can clutch up and he can get the win for you guys. He's the guy that you trust at the end game of like, okay, if he's there, we're good. He's the guy, instead of at the end circle, you're telling him what to do, you're just watching because you know he knows what to do. And he's clutched up more than anybody. You need a clutch player on your team, and that is number 13. Now, they're all gonna blend in, right? You all need pieces of all of it because you only can run up to quads. But these are the roles you're gonna need to make sure you have in your team. Now, when we're structuring our team, let's talk about Resurgence first. So in Resurgence, we understand we die, we come back. It's almost like the multiplayer of Battle Royale. Nothing wrong with it, it's a great game mode, but when you're looking at it, say you're playing quads, so you're gonna have a in-game leader. If you're playing duos or more, you're gonna have an in-game leader in Resurgence. But then you're thinking, okay, I need somebody who's a run and gunner. So that's somebody who's good with an SMG and good at movement. I need somebody who's also a slayer. Maybe we're in quads, like I said. So that person will go in with the RNG, and then he will, as the RNG downs people, he's finishing. He's going behind as they're trading out. And then you need an anchor player, especially in Resurgence. And I talked about it earlier because that anchor player, as all three of you are doing work in the building, just in case something happens and they all get wiped, you are hanging back in a different building, different area, or a different level in the building. If you don't have the anchor player, you're not really set up to continue to play the game. So Resurgence is a little bit different. And then when you're looking at your perk package, you're gonna want restock probably in 2 players. So then you can restock gases, you can restock smokes, you can restock stims, you can restock, spring mines, whatever you need restock for. To get your tacticals and lethals, you need those for 2 players. In-game leader is jack of all trades player, so he's always looking at the map. You're always going to maybe he runs bird's eye with survivor, and then he runs, cold-blooded or ghost or something like that to stay off the mini map. And then that last player, you're really that hybrid all-around jack of all trades anchor player. That one's going to be your basic stuff. So I would run ghost on that player because if they're ghosted and they're anchored inside the game, then you're good to go. They can't be seen on the minimap. Then I would also run survivor perk, so then they also can kind of play that medic if they need to. And then also I would run cold-blooded or restock. Think about it when you're creating your team and what kind of perk packages, what kind of tacticals, what kind of lethals, what kind of gun is everybody running? Are we running everybody with AR and then 1 sniper? That's probably what you should be running. So then you have somebody who can stay behind. And then you look at big map with Battle Royale, the same idea, but people don't come back. So that one's a little bit different because you're probably going to want an economist, like a true economist on a Battle Royale, instead of somebody who has the tendency, because maybe you're doing intel contracts the whole time. You're going to be buying back a lot more in the bigger map because you have to buy back, and it's $3,000 to buy everybody back. So, intel contracts, you're looking at scavenger contracts, somebody who's managing the money for you. You need a banker, a true banker economist on your team in quads. And then you're looking at the next roles. So you're more looking at like 2 hybrid roles, and then the IGL. The IGL is going to be consistent, but you're going to have the IGL and 2 hybrid roles and the banker when you're playing big map, because the hybrid role is somebody who can flex in between being an RNG and then being an AR player, or being an RNG running like an SMG and sniper. So then if they need to held back, they can do the sniper role. If they need to run in, they have the SMG role. And then maybe they're running sprinter to give them better speed. Just little tweaks to make the game a little bit easier based upon the defined roles in Warzone. And hey guys, if you like watching videos from me, check out this video right here where I rank every Warzone gun from worst to best. All right guys, I'll catch you in the next one.